Casa Bonita might be the most iconic episode in all of South Park, which I realize is a controversial thing to say, but if I don't start this video with a controversial statement, I could die. And of course by die, I mean get less watch time. But in all seriousness, I can't think of a single other South Park episode that has the same level of infamy as Casa Bonita. It was a fan favorite back when it first came out, and today it's only become more infamous thanks to Trey Parker and Matt Stone purchasing the real thing. Now I might be a little bit biased here since I just watched Casa Bonita Mi Amore, and it was awesome. I highly recommend it.
The worst part about being a skeleton is I can't kiss anyone because I don't have ribs. You don't have what? I don't have ribs. What are ribs? No, not ribs, ribs. I can't understand you because you don't have ribs. What are ribs?
But here's the thing. I genuinely think that Casa Bonita is a perfect episode of South Park. It's hilarious, it's very tightly written, and it features both Cartman and Butters in peak form. Now I know that there are a lot of great South Park episodes, especially ones that star Cartman and Butters, but only a handful of them are as well executed as Casa Bonita. And in order to show you what I mean, I want to try something a little different for this video. Instead of doing my usual video essay format, I want to do a full episode breakdown to help you see Casa Bonita through my eyes and understand why I'm such a big fan of it. And also, just for fun, I'm gonna tell you literally everything about the episode because, well, that's just what I want to do. But unlike those goddamn white thumbnail channels, yes, I'm still hating, this won't just be recap, because I'm gonna be adding a ton of my own original commentary here. So strap in, cause this gonna be a long one.
Dude, I wonder where Kyle is. Maybe he caught a disease and died. That'd be so awesome. Dude, that's not funny. You shouldn't joke about that. Who's joking?
What a great way to start this thing. Right off the bat, with just 5 lines, this episode starts with what I would consider to be a perfect characterization of the South Park boys. Stan and Kenny are concerned for Kyle, so they come off as caring friends, while Cartman thinks it'd be funny if Kyle died, so we know he's an asshole. Now you might be thinking, why does that matter? I already know who these characters are, and yeah, no shit. But you gotta keep in mind that South Park is episodic, which means that any episode can be someone's first episode. Like for me, that was Helen Keller the musical. I was really moved by Timmy's relationship with Gobbles. I'm all out of love. I'm so lost without you. And that got me into watching the show. But for many other people, their first episode was Casa Bonita. So the fact that the first 10 seconds can seamlessly work as an introduction to the show, while also being funny for longtime fans, is, in my opinion, expertly good writing. Also, I don't know if anyone else has noticed this before, but there's an animation error where Cartman's mouth goes over the chip for some reason.
You guys, I have awesome news. You have AIDS? No, this Saturday for my birthday, my mom says she's taking me to Casa Bonita in Denver, and I get to invite 3 friends. Wow, Casa Bonita! Woo-hoo!
I'm gonna be honest, I literally only showed this clip because I love that AIDS joke. But also because I wanted to draw attention to how jam-packed this thing is with funny moments. Like seriously, there isn't really a missed beat or opportunity along the way. Anyways, the entire plot of this episode is established right here in this opening scene. Kyle is having a birthday party at Casa Bonita, but he's gonna invite Butters instead of Cartman because Cartman's a dick. And that's basically it. There's no real B-plot here, it's just Cartman trying his best to get invited instead of Butters. Now, I don't know if you've ever listened to the director's commentary for South Park before, but in almost every season, Trey Parker and Matt Stone repeat the same thing, which is that the simple episodes always end up being the best ones.
It really taught us a lesson about simplifying that we still have to learn every week that we make the show because we forget about that lesson, but make it simple.
I think that Casa Bonita is a perfect example of what they're talking about. There's only one plot, it's simple, it's focused, the jokes have room to breathe, and nothing feels rushed at any point, which is very important because pacing is a huge part of what makes this episode so good. But best of all, it's a character study on Eric Cartman. Much like Scott Tenorman Must Die before it, it's almost entirely told through his perspective. And nearly every interaction is highlighting some element of his personality.
I have never been a dick to you. Oh, please. All you ever do is call me names and rip on me for being Jewish. Kyle, when have I ever ripped on you for being a Jew? Oh, yeah? Well, you're a stupid Jew. You're a Jew. Shut your goddamn Jew mouth. Good job, Jew. Jew.
Again, what I love about the writing here is that you could just take out the montage and a new viewer would still understand what's going on. They already set up the relationship between Kyle and Cartman before Kyle even walked through the door. So even without the montage, a new viewer would already know that Cartman hates Kyle and that he really does act like a total dick to him. Hell, they even saw him do it with the AIDS joke. See what I did there? I snuck that in so I could reference it later because I'm sneaky like that. And by sneaky, I mean I lied to you earlier.
Kyle, you don't understand. Casa Bonita is my most favorite place in the whole world. I'll just die if you don't take me, please.
Now this is something that we almost never get to see. Cartman begs Kyle to take him. That's a big deal for Cartman because usually he's a manipulative asshole. So for him to ask nicely like that tells us that he must really love Casa Bonita, which is important context for the rest of this episode because despite his plea, Kyle still says no.
Well, you, Kyle! I don't want to go to your faggy birthday party anyway! I'd rather hang out at home than have to be around you and your Jew mom for a day! Kiss my balls, asshole!
I know I'm skipping out on a good joke here, but copyright, can't show it all. So the next scene shows us that Cartman is having a nightmare about not being able to go to Casa Bonita. And yeah, admittedly, this one's a little bit redundant since it mostly just reinforces what we already know. But it does set up the next set of jokes, which are built around Cartman trying to be nice to Kyle. And you just know that that dynamic is gonna be good, because it forces Cartman to do something that is so out of his comfort zone that it just can't not be funny. It's kind of like a season earlier when he had to act nice for Christmas or be nice to Kyle's cousin Kyle. It's just not possible for him.
Hi, Kyle. That isn't it, Cartman. What isn't it? That's not being nice. That's just putting on a nice sweater. I don't understand the difference. I know you don't.
See, it's stuff like this that makes this episode such a strong character study on Cartman. Because of course you can't tell the difference between being nice and wearing a nice sweater. He's a narcissistic psychopath. He sees niceness as a transactional thing. It's just something he does to get a result that he wants, as opposed to a genuine act of compassion. But because Kyle knows him so well, he can't get away with faking it like he usually would. So he's forced to find new ways to trick him, like when he asks Jimmy to teach him how to be nice.
Well, Eric, part of being nice is just making people smile and laugh. The best way to do that is by telling a fantastic joke or a humorous anecdote. Like, try this one on for stories. Knock, knock. Who's there? Igmar Bergman. Now you say, Igmar Bergman who?
Anyone else really want to know where that knock knock joke was gonna go? Hold on a second. Holy shit, it's not just me. Okay, I need to know this joke now. Free Ingmar Bergman.
Take that, Jimmy, and that! And don't you ever talk bad about Kyle again! Kyle is my friend! And if you say you had sex with his mom one more time, I'm gonna really let you have it. You hear me?
Oh, Kyle. Hey.
You really think that beating up a handicapped kid is being nice?
So after 2 gags of Cartman failing to be a human, the episode does a bit of a 180 and shows us his vulnerable side. As Kyle is inviting Butters to his birthday, Cartman is sitting alone in the cafeteria, quietly shedding a tear. Which is kind of a big moment, because Cartman doesn't typically just cry for the sake of crying. Usually when he does it, it's to manipulate someone or get attention from an adult. But here, he sheds the tear for no one. And unlike that bitch from the Beatles song, there are signs of life behind the tears. This is his human side. This is Cartman being sad for realsies. And it's on that note that we get this speech.
So, fine, Kyle, but honestly, I never meant to make you feel like you didn't matter at all to me. I know we argue all the time, and I give you tons of crap, but we've also been through a lot together, and maybe that alone doesn't make us friends, but it makes us something. So, whatever, just, I hope things can be cool.
Okay, so I got a hot take here, but hear me out. I know that Eric is manipulative, and I know that everything he does is for self-gain, and I know that he's a fat asshole, but I actually think that this speech was genuine. Because at this point in the story, Butters had already gotten the invite and Cartman knew it, so he basically had no hope left of going. And I think that with nothing left to lose, Eric finally got vulnerable with Kyle and showed him that human side. And I know, this is Cartman, so why wouldn't he just be faking it, right? But if he was faking it, then why not just do this from the get-go instead of wearing a nice sweater and beating up Jimmy? Unless, of course, he couldn't fake it because he didn't know how to.
That's exactly what I wanted to hear from you all along. I still have to take Butters, but I hope things can be cool too.
Good.
And hey, if for some reason Butters can't go to Casa Bonita, you can take his place.
Sweet, whatever. Bingo.
But on the other hand, this is Cartman we're talking about, so maybe this was just a Hail Mary play to go to Casa Bonita. But I don't know, I kind of like the idea that this apology was Cartman hitting rock bottom, because it solidifies 2 things about his character. 1, that he really loves Casa Bonita, and 2, that it takes losing something he loves for him to show signs of being a normal human. Either way, the important thing is that you guys fight about this in the comments for my amusement.
For the past 5 days, I've been looking out into space for a school project. This morning at 3:45 a.m., I caught first sight of something terrible.
How terrible?
A meteor. A meteor the size of Wyoming, heading right for Earth.
What?
So Cartman needs to hide Butters from the world until after the birthday party, which not only raises the stakes for Eric, but also creates a sense of tension that will keep building until the very final moment of the episode, which we'll talk about a little bit later.
I just see stars.
Keep looking. Sometimes it takes your eyes a minute to adjust.
No, but I don't see it. Whoa, wait! Oh my god! I see it! I see it! It's a meteor! Oh my god!
Oh my god! Does it look like it's getting closer?
It is! It is getting closer! Oh my god!
Man, I swear, every joke about Butters and the meteor in this episode is on some virtuoso level of comedic writing. Like, every gag, including this telescope bit, is just so good. And I love how these bits have like a Monty Python-esque charm to them, as if they would fit perfectly into a sketch comedy show. But what I like even more is that Eric and Butters feel like actual kids in these scenes. Because let's be real, that's when South Park is at its best, when the kids are being kids. And this episode has that. Like when they go to Jimbo's bomb shelter and Eric tells Butters that he's gonna have to repopulate the Earth after the meteor hits.
No matter what happens, no matter what you hear, do not come out. If I don't make it back in time with the others, then it will be up to you to repopulate the Earth.
But I'm the only one down here. What am I supposed to repopulate with?
Well, you know, with your wiener.
It's just such a great moment of kid logic where neither of them knows how it works, so they kind of just stare at each other.
Happy birthday, Kyle. I just wanted to stop by and give you your present.
Oh, thanks, dude.
Hope you have a good one. See you later.
Oh, wait, Cartman.
Yes?
Butters didn't show. You want to go to Casa Bonita with us?
You ever notice how when Cartman is closer to getting what he wants, he suddenly starts losing his cool? Like he almost gives away his plans? We see a small example of it here when he closes his eyes with his back turned to Kyle, and then again when Kyle postpones his birthday party because they find out that Butters is missing.
That's very good of you, boys. We can postpone Casa Bonita until next Saturday.
Next Saturday? I'll never be able to keep Butters down in the depths of my heart for that long. I sure hope he turns up before then.
Now obviously, Eric is doing this because he's a very emotionally volatile person, which also makes him impulsive, like how he yelled at Kyle when he first didn't get invited. So when he almost gets what he wants, he can't contain himself. And as you'll see in this episode, it's kind of a weakness of his. The closer he gets to Casa Bonita, the more he starts to slip. But what's cool is how this episode uses this flaw to build on the tension and eventually suspense. Just kind of what gives it that roller coaster feeling in the first place. Now, as a character study episode, everything kind of plays off of Cartman, even Kyle, whose main purpose in this episode is to exist as a contrast to Eric.
Yeah, I think you're right, but on the other hand, I think Butters would want us to go. You know Butters.
Nah, I can't. We should help look for him.
Kyle is kind of like the representation of morality and goodness in this episode. And yeah, I know, he's kind of always the moral center, but in this one he's not such a whiny little bitch. He rightfully doesn't invite Cartman to his birthday. He rewards him for acting maturely, and he selflessly postpones his party in favor of helping find Butters, which is incredibly based for a 10-year-old. So he's basically the exact opposite of Eric, which creates this sort of contrast that helps to exaggerate just how ridiculously evil Eric is. Without Kyle, there'd be nothing for Eric to bounce off of in terms of his morality. I mean, yeah, Butters is also very moral, but his comedic moments happen because he's naive, which is kind of a different thing. But here, Kyle isn't naive, he's just normal. In fact, all of the boys are normal, and it's so that Cartman can seem more ridiculous by comparison.
All right, folks, this is the little boy we're looking for. Leopold Stotch, also known as Butters.
Fun fact, this is the second appearance of Detective Yates, the first one being in Christian Rock Hard.
Not a big deal. You think downloading music for free is not a big deal?
Also, you ever notice how out of place Barb Brady looks here? This was right when the police force was added to South Park, so I'm guessing that they didn't know what to do with him and just added him to the side like that. Because obviously in later episodes, they just stopped showing him altogether. Also, it's worth noting that Cartman is not in the search party. Cartman's mom is, which totally sports the video I made on her, but Eric isn't. We only see the three boys, Kevin and maybe Tweak.
Dried food rations. Add water to beef-flavored square. Hello? Hello?
Butters! Ah!
So this is the first scene with Eric in the entire episode that doesn't start from his perspective. And it's interesting because they could have started this with Eric approaching the shelter from the outside, which would have been more consistent with the rest of the episode, but they don't. They start with Butters in the shelter instead. In fact, Butters is the only other singular character that takes the perspective in this episode.
No, Butters! If you come up, you'll get infected too. You best wait for the radiation levels to go down. Probably next week sometime. After Saturday.
So this time the search party's happening at night and, oh look, Cartman is here this time. And he's doing that thing I talked about where he breaks character because he's getting what he wants.
Casa Bonita.
Wait, hold on. Are you telling me that Cartman can actually see his own thought bubbles? He has that kind of power? This is unexplored territory. We need to get him to the lab immediately. Just think of the implications.
Many times in cases like these, a child can trap themselves. It's important that we spread our search to duct pipes, wells, and bomb shelters.
What?
So this is sort of that rising tension thing I mentioned earlier when we were talking about pacing. The show is now raising the stakes for Eric once again, and he's responding by doing crazier and crazier things, which is only going to happen more often from here on out, because this episode is structured like a thriller movie. Everything builds towards a final crescendo.
Oh God! They're coming! They're coming! We've got to get out of here! They're coming this way! Who's coming this way? The cannibals, don't you know? The meteor destroyed all society, Butters. Now Earth is ruled by packs of wild humans gone mad. Those of us who survived are now being hunted by flesh-starved cannibals. Oh God, I hate cannibals.
This entire bit, from beginning to end, is probably my second favorite part of the episode. The ending is obviously my number one, because it's just so perfect, but this whole bit is easily the next best part. The way he puts the box on Butters to protect him from the radiation, or the way he describes their surroundings like some nuclear wasteland, it's all just so good. And I know that I'm just gushing here, and I'm not even really providing any semblance of analysis at this point, but my video, my rules. And my rules say, these jokes are better than Butters' ability to climb a ladder with the box around him.
Here we are at the old gas station.
Cartman is talking when they first get to the gas station, but his mouth isn't actually moving.
I've got to fight them off. Stay away from Butters. He's humanity's last hope. He bit me. He bit off my hand. Oh God, he's eating my hand like a piece of chicken. Can you hear the bones crack?
Look, I don't think there's anything I can actually say here to further elaborate on what's going on other than this is funny. And since I've already done so much gushing, I'm not going to go into how this entire bit is amazing, as is pretty much every interaction between Eric and Butters in this episode. Let's just move on to the next clip.
It's Wednesday. It's Wednesday. Only 3 more days to Casa Bonita. I'm gonna go through Black Bart's cave first. No, I'm gonna watch the cliff divers first. Maybe if I tell them it's my birthday, they'll let me cliff dive into the pool. Oh, that would be so badass.
So going back to this being a character study on Eric, you can see in the way he's thinking about Casa Bonita that at this point, he doesn't even view it as being Kyle's birthday anymore. He just sees it as his trip to Casa Bonita, and he's even thinking of telling them that it's his birthday. So he's fully just hijacking the entire day now, which really shows how little Eric cares about anyone else. Like, he could just enjoy the free trip to his favorite place, but no. That's not enough. He has to have it his way no matter what. And it's just like, there's being a narcissist, and then there's being Eric Cartman.
You're gonna love Casa Bonita, Stan. There's this one part where you can dress up in old Western clothes and get your photo taken in a fake jail. Really?
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Pretty cool.
Remember how I said Eric is gonna start slipping more and more as they approach Casa Bonita? Well, here we are. By this point in the episode, the tension has begun evolving into suspense, because we know every crazy thing that Eric has gone through to get to this point, plus we've seen how easily he might throw it all away, which creates this feeling of things ramping up that will only keep accelerating until the big finale.
Dude, it's Kyle's birthday. We should do whatever he wants to do.
What?
Kyle. Haha. Just kidding. Birthday joke. Of course we do whatever Kyle wants. Happy birthday, Kyle.
So before we get to the big finale, we get this final scene where Butters runs into the trash dump worker after he gets accidentally sent there because of Eric. And it mostly just serves as a mini payoff for everything we've seen him go through this episode.
This is the library, and over here's the bank. That over there I'm thinking of making into a P.F. Chang's or a Bennigan's.
Damn, Butters is surprisingly good at turning garbage into buildings.
And this is a memorial to Eric Cartman, the person who gave his life so that I could rebuild society.
Damn, Butters is surprisingly good at turning garbage into Cartman.
Well, ma'am, I guess we should start repopulating the earth, huh?
Butters, no! Like with his other scenes, this is mostly just played for laughs, but it also acts as the final nail in the coffin for Cartman's plans, which sets up the grand finale that the episode has been building towards since the beginning.
We're here! Casa Bonita! Oh, man, this is gonna be so great!
Wait up, Eric. We need to stay together.
Now this is where things start to get really great. These last 2 minutes are the big climax that we've been waiting for, and man, the wait is worth it. Moment by moment, this entire sequence flows perfectly into that final jump. Like when they first get into the parking lot and the music is all wondrous and hopeful, which reflects Cartman's excitement as he can't stop himself from running ahead of the group. Which, you know, another nice touch on the whole kids being kids thing. But as soon as Sheila picks up that phone and tells the boys that they found Butters, the music immediately shifts to an ominous piano as Cartman's face switches to one of intense worry.
Boys, they found Butters. He's okay.
Oh, awesome.
I knew he'd turn up.
Yes, Eric Cartman is with us. Why?
Now, all that tension that has been building throughout the entire episode is finally reaching a boiling point. Sheila and the boys are onto him. The South Park police are onto him. Cartman's game is over. He knows there are no moves left. But Casa Bonita is sitting right in front of him. So out of desperation, he panics.
Stand back! Cartman, stop it. I am going to Casa Bonita.
It's too late, fat ass. They'll be here in less than a minute.
Less than a minute! Less than a minute!
Damn, Cartman is low-key kind of strong. You see the way he just threw Kyle like that? His attempt to take Kyle hostage without a gun is effectively the same thing that he did at the beginning of the episode when he told Kyle that he's never been a dick to him. Both are outright denials of reality that have absolutely no hope of being believed, but are done anyways out of desperation. It also works as a nice metaphor for what Cartman has been doing this entire episode. His plan was to take Kyle's birthday party hostage, and now he's literally trying to take Kyle hostage too.
Oh, awesome! Excuse me, can I just eat some of your... Thank you. Okay, gotta get back to my cave!
Now everybody knows that the reason this episode is so iconic is because of the ending. I mean, there's just something so magical about this sequence. You can practically feel Trey Parker's inner child within Cartman as he runs through the restaurant. By this point in the episode, the pacing is reaching breakneck speeds, which is forcing Cartman to enjoy Casa Bonita at breakneck speeds. And that's exactly why this sequence is so funny, because Cartman is so hell-bent on enjoying Casa Bonita that he attempts to speedrun the entire experience. And the reality of that is just so absurd.
Look, a skeleton! Oh man, I'm so scared! Come on, dive! Dive, asshole! Oh, awesome! That was cool, huh?
You gotta love how this is basically just an advertisement for Casa Bonita, especially considering that it's now owned by Trey Parker and Matt Stone, so it's kind of like perfect that they'd be advertising their own restaurant. I mean, Cartman may as well be breaking the fourth wall when he literally looks at the audience and asks if the cliff dive was cool. Which, I mean, yeah, it's pretty cool. Now, this speedrun of Casa Bonita is already happening at a hilarious pace, but once Cartman spots the police at the entrance, things start to get even more ridiculous as he starts scrambling even harder.
Come on! Soapapillas! Can I get some soapapillas, please? Sweet.
I love that Cartman is excited about doing a fake wanted photo even though he's about to go to jail anyways. Also, you gotta love that Soapapilla service. I swear, if I go to Casa Bonita, I better instantly get Soapapillas when I raise that flag. Anyways, we're now at the point that the entire episode has been leading up to. Finally, after everything he's done, Cartman can no longer outrun reality. We've reached maximum tension here. And so for the big climax of the episode, Cartman climbs up the mountain and we get one of the greatest moments in South Park history.
All right, kid, end of the line.
Yay! Jesus Christ!
Now, I don't know if I've done a good job at convincing you of my viewpoint throughout this video, but to me, this episode is perfect. It's hilarious. I love the way it uses Cartman as the driving force of its narrative. It's packed to the brim with excellent comedic beats, and it's so tightly written that hardly a moment goes to waste. So it's pretty much everything that I could want out of a Cartman-centric South Park episode. Does it have some flaws? Probably, but am I gonna ignore them all anyways to reconfirm my own bias? Oh, you better believe it. But you know, still comment your thoughts anyways. I wouldn't want to discourage you from giving me that sweet engagement. Anyways, with all the craziness that happens in this episode, my one last compliment goes to how well they stick the landing. Because after Cartman's big jump, the tension is finally gone. We've reached the moment that this entire episode has been building towards since the very beginning. And with that release, the production follows suit. The music drops out, the chatter of the restaurant is replaced with crickets, and the only thing left is a final response to the mayhem, the punchline of the episode.
Well, kid, you made an entire town panic, you lost all your friends, and now you're going to juvenile hall for a week. Was it worth it?
Totally.